conversation with a unicorn, Kavin Mittal of Hike. Thanks, Kavin, for joining us here on ET Now. How does it feel to beat Mark Zuckerberg, to beat Facebook, and to launch digital payments in a messenger app?
We're thrilled about launching what we've just launched today. Not only does it make us the first messaging app in the country to launch payments, but with over 100 million users, Hike today also becomes the largest UPI platform in the country, which is a huge deal. We also launched something we call Blue Packets, which is a whole new way to express yourself through money. We really believe money can be the new sticker. Blue Packets is a world's first. It's a very unique feature that we built in the application, so we're pretty excited.
You think it's the first, but isn't it like the blue of the red packets of WeChat?
Yeah, sure. We've been inspired by many people, Lion, WeChat, and a bunch of other people too. But with everything that we do, we put a Hike spin on it. And if you look at those 12 beautifully designed packets, those are all Hike. And we've done a few more things behind the scenes that have made it very, very unique, and we're pretty excited about it.
So, how do you think this digital payments is going to work? I believe right now you've done it with Yes Bank, though anyone who doesn't even bank with Yes Bank can use this because it's UPI linked. Do you plan to tie up with other banks as well, or this is it?
This is the start. Yes Bank is a very forward-looking partner. They enable a large chunk of the UPI transactions today in India. But as you mentioned, it works with any bank. Yeah. So you can plug in an IDFC, HDFC doesn't really matter. So with UPI, Hike now has become a ubiquitous payments platform. And that's very important because if I have Hike, I can send money to you on UPI even if you don't have Hike installed. Okay. And that's very, very powerful. Which is something, let's say, Paytm doesn't have, because both people have to have Paytm for a Paytm transaction to take place. Sure. I mean, the NPCI in the country has done a fantastic job laying the rails for the UPI. And when we saw it, we had to launch something on it. Now, 90% of hikers are between the age of 15 and 24. So when we met them, they talked about how many of them don't actively use a bank account. So we also built in wallet-to-wallet transfer inside Hike itself for those people who don't actually actively use a bank account. The third thing we launched is Recharge inside a Hike. It's the first transactional micro app that we built on the platform. And we think that's going to be very popular because in India, a lot of people they don't have very high-end smartphones. So the space on phones is very restricted. So the number of apps they can have on the phone is very, very restricted. So when we sort of built Recharge and showed it to people, people were super happy because now they don't need that one more app for Recharge on their phone, and they can recharge in Hike itself. So we're pretty excited. So right now, what can it be used for? It can be used for transferring money and for mobile phone payments. Bank-to-bank transfer via UPI, wallet-to-wallet transfer if you don't have an active bank account. You can recharge your phone, even pay your postpaid mobile bills, and you can send Blue Packets back and forth on Hike. So Blue Packets, for the benefit of our viewers, in case they haven't seen it, are what we Punjabis call shagun. It's like an envelope with like congratulations or it's stuff like that, right? Yeah, I mean, even if you saw in the video, one girl also called it like the digital version of shagun ka lifafa, and that was really cool. And we built That's what I thought it was when I saw it. We built some very quirky ones, and you don't have thank you and congratulations, but you have like a flying kiss packet, you have a nudge packet, you have a paisa packet, and we really brought the idea of stickers to money in a very big way. Okay, but I want to talk a little bit more about digital payments. Where do you see this headed, and how are you going to differentiate yourself from the other existing wallets, let's say a Paytm? Our focus today was to lay the foundation on payments inside Hike, number one. Number two is a heavy focus on social payments. You'll notice we've not announced 1,000 merchant partnerships. We're not announcing cashbacks and discounts. That's not the game we want to go play. Hike is a messaging app. Is that the game you don't want to play today or ever? Not in 2017 for certain. Okay. Hike is a messaging app, and we believe payments and Blue Packets are simply an extension of messaging. That's how we see it. And it's become very simple. It's just one more feature. I can now send a sticker, I can send money. So it's very, very convenient inside the application. So the first leg of payments is social. We believe it's a big extension to what we already do. And what's the second leg? Talk to me in 12 months, I'll tell you. You're going to reveal that. So did you get motivated by this when we had the WhatsApp founder in India, the team in India, talking about how can they ignore digital payments? Is that how you got inspired, or was this already in the works? Because he was here about a few months back talking about this. Yeah, we've been working on this for 6 to 9 months. we've been thinking about payments for a year and a half, 2 years. So we always wanted to bring payments into Hike, but the timing had to be right. We heard of UPI, so we waited. We waited for those rails to get built. Once they were built, we waited for it to be ubiquitous. Once it was ubiquitous, then we launched our platform. So this has been in the works for some time, and we focus heavily on our ecosystem and what users and hikers want, and that's how payments came about.
So you said your primary age group is 15 years plus. So how do you ensure that these are all dependents? I'm sure that brings about a lot of challenges legally and socially.
Yeah, I think we take privacy and security very seriously. Today we also announced 128-bit SSL encryption for the application end-to-end, and we think it's an important thing. Messaging and social is very personal. We don't store messages, for example, on our servers. That's a mantra we had from day one. We still continue to go do that. And so that's always been at the back of our mind 24/7 when we're building Hike.
Plus legally, because these are all minors. A lot of them are minors, right? And now they're going to have access to money which they can transfer to each other. Is there any legal challenges in that?
Not really. It's not illegal to have money as a 15-year-old.
No, of course not.
So we're not worried about that. But the best thing about Hike is used with close friends. On average, people talk to 6 to 7 people on weekdays and about 9 to 10 people on weekends. And we think payments and blue packets is going to be awesome in that environment.
So now let me ask you a question which you haven't answered for a while. How many users do you have, and how much time are they spending on Hike? And how far behind are you from WhatsApp or the number 2, which is Facebook Messenger?
People are spending now, on average, a hiker spends 24 minutes per day inside Hike, which is very high engagement. Our best hikers spend almost 50 minutes per day. Now, people spend about 4 hours a day on the internet in this country. 50 minutes means 1/4 of your time on the internet gets spent on Hike. Compared to the data we have from Facebook Messenger, this is way ahead.
How much ahead?
Messenger. I think 6, 7, 8x.
Okay.
We don't have WhatsApp stats, but because we really believe that Hike and WhatsApp will both coexist. We don't compete with them as much as we do with the other messaging as a platform service. So yeah.
So how many users do you have today?
The last number we announced was 100 million, comfortably.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd tell me the update.
Comfortably over 100 million registered users late last year, and watch out for this space.
You haven't updated us since Jan 2016.
We will talk about something at the end of this year, in 2017.
Okay, so is it going to be on what you're going to take the payments forward with, or is it going to be in the number of subscribers?
It's going to be number of users. It's going to be the time spent they have on the platform. Everything. We believe in 2017 we have to move away, and the market knows this. We have to move away from registered users and talk about actives.
Yeah.
It's very important. But we want to establish Hike in a big way first as a messaging as a platform service before we go and unveil active users, so the right comparisons are drawn. That's very, very important. We really believe in every country there are 2 kinds of messaging apps. A simple messaging app that replaces SMS, and a massive messaging as a platform app that does much more than messaging. Hike plays in that category. So our competition is more like a messenger, or to some extent maybe a Snapchat and so on. And even China, 2 massive apps. There's QQ, that's for the youth, and there's WeChat, that's for the older population. Both comfortably have more than 500 million monthly actives. So that's how we see the market.
So when you make an announcement in end of 2017 with the active users, etc., is it going to coincide with some form of monetization, with some form of fundraising?
Very unlikely. We just raised $175 million last year. It's been 10 months, so we're very well capitalized. And Hike is in what we call the second phase of our business. There are 4 phases. There's engagement, growth, revenue, and profitability. We will start looking at revenue towards the end of 2018, but with payments we've laid the foundation.
Okay.
That's important.
So can we expect maybe commerce as well on this as the next progress?
Well, if we believe our users want it, we'll bring it in. But there's a lot of stuff that you can do very uniquely in a social application that you cannot do in an app that's not social.
Okay.
So what's important for us is not
give me an example.
I'll give you an example. Like it's not about bringing transactions on the platform. It's how do you do it with your friends. So can you shop with your friends? Can we make shopping social? booking tickets is a very social experience. Like, what are those things that people do with their friends in the offline world that we can bring inside Hike in a way that's very simple and convenient and fits right into the messaging app? That is a very different approach.
And that would be a differentiator as well.
Sure, absolutely. If you don't want to put an icon on the app and say, go, you can book a taxi. That's not the idea, right? The idea is, if you want to do that, how do you do it in a way that's very, very social and with friends? So we're talking to everybody, because now that we've launched payments, imagine the possibilities. We have Recharge on the platform. That's a transactional micro app, and we can literally launch many more transactional services in the next couple of years, and we hope to do that.
So what kind of transactional services?
Time will tell. The youth in this country are, slightly different from the older lot. They spend their money in very different ways. Time will tell.
So how do they spend their money differently, which appeals to you and could appeal to Hike?
One is they do exchange money amongst themselves quite a lot, which is why we launched Blue Packets. Which is why we had a very large focus on social payments when we launched, payments on Hike first. Second is this, they transact offline, but not at places that you think. A lot of hikers are, college goers. So they're transacting at their canteens. They're transacting at the Maggie Wala right next door. These are the kind of transactions they do. This is the youth population. Of course, many do also transact at a subway and a mall and so on and so forth, but it is different from the larger sort of wider population. And generally speaking, the income that they have, the pocket money they have, is not as expansive. And so we also keep that in mind when we're thinking about payments on Hike. So today we're laying the foundation of payments. In the next 12 to 18 months, we hope to bring a lot more stuff on the platform.
So that from everything that you're telling me, you are already differentiated, and you don't have to worry about existing wallets which also have the backing of an Alibaba or a SoftBank, etc.
Yeah, because the engagement in the application is so high that we're not launching a wallet as a separate app. We're launching wallet, UPI, Recharge, and Blue Packets in a user base of 100 million users. Imagine the adoption. On Sunday, this goes live on Android, and end of next month, July, on iOS. So that's how we look at this. It's not it's a brand new service in an already existing, very large and active and very fully engaged ecosystem.
So how does it work? Like, how am I going to upload money onto this? Is it with fingerprinting the way like Amazon, for example, has?
Yeah, so I can tap on the wallet, I can hit send money, and I can send the money to you. I can also attach a Blue Packet if I want to. And it's that simple. And very quickly you'll see us add more security options like entering a passcode, using the finger touch sensor, the fingerprint sensor, and so on. You'll see us make all these evolutions in payments very, very quickly in the next 6 months.
Because cybersecurity is a real threat, and in India we don't have the laws which are good enough to support cybersecurity.
I won't go that far. But yes, the internet sort of the internet is new. And so people spending 4 or 5 hours a day on the internet is new in this country. And, definitely we need to look at sort of the laws in terms of security and privacy and all those things online. And I know for a fact the government's actually looking at this right now and having discussions.
You did a meeting with the IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad last week.
Absolutely. And so we're having these discussions because it's very, very important that, out of 24 hours in a day, you sleep 6 to 8 hours. You have 16 hours in the waking world, and 4 out of those are online. I think in Korea now it's like 8. So eventually you get to a point where half your life is spent online. So we have to be very clear about what that looks like and what the laws in that world are. And we are very confident in the next 4, 5, 6 months you'll see something come from the government with consultation from the industry around this fact. But we're just excited to jump into payments and launch social payments. And in the next 6 months you'll see us take all this stuff and evolve it very, very fast. Because we'll see how people use payments inside Hike now. And that's going to be very exciting for us to see.
So you must be liking demonetization. You must be one of the guys who were favoring demonetization.
I think the buzz and up and down and the any potential business sort of value sort of derived from demonetization, that's over. That peak is gone, come and gone.
But it made the country aware of digital payments.
It made them aware, but and it did definitely move the country forward. But there's still a lot of work to be done. You can see that after demonetization, after cash came back in the system, digital transactions have fallen. So there's
how much would you say?
Not the exact numbers. We have some numbers, but they've fallen and they've stabilized. Some pockets are growing. UPI is growing. It's gone from 0 to a lot of crores in a matter of 6 months to a year. So some pockets are growing, and we hope we can contribute towards that. I think India has a long way to go. You must realize that the population of 1.2 billion people, only 300 million people, give or take 5-10%, are active on a monthly basis online. Only 150 million out of that are active daily. And even a smaller subset, very small subset, I think maybe 20, 30, 40 million people are transacting on a monthly basis. And if you talk to the guys in the e-commerce space, they'll tell you online shoppers are in the tens of millions, not in the hundreds of millions. So
they got that wrong, and that's why we're seeing consolidation, right?
Yeah, but tens of millions in a population of 1.2 billion, we have a long way to go.
And for that, you need connectivity. You need cheap data services, right? And that's something that you must be supporting.
Yeah, I think the data prices have come down quite a lot with Jio's entry. I think that shifted the market to 4G. But as the freebies go away, we can see that the market's now tapering off. I think you need more than cheap data in this country. And I'll tell you why. The problem is there's 1 billion people coming online for the first time in their lives on a mobile device onto the internet. We've not experienced that. And the internet can be a very daunting place, like the wild, wild west for somebody coming online to this world of apps. And smartphones are not very smart. They have all these smart APIs, but unless you have the app that unlocks that part of the API, the smartphone doesn't do much. And so there are millions of apps in the App Store. The phone only has so much space. If the phones in India are slightly lower end, so space is constrained. So the app model also is not as easy to use as US and China. So there's a lot of these little quirks in the consumer experience of coming online. And more importantly, in the voice and SMS world, if you bought 10 rupees of talk time, you got 10 minutes. I can count 10 minutes, right? It's very, very easy. If I spend $100 and buy, let's say, a 400 MB 3G pack or 4G pack, where MBs and GBs are not tangible.
No.
Like 10 MB on YouTube and 10 MB on Hike are fundamentally very different. So there's a massive go-to-market problem with the internet in this country for the longer tail of the market. That has to be solved.
With Jio's entry, you do have data which has become cheaper, but smartphones haven't. I understand the constraints that you're talking about, but do you think that's also necessary for a company like yours to reach its true potential?
Yeah, I mean, I dream of an India that has 1 billion people online on smartphones. And, we will do whatever it takes to get India to there, because the digital economy only gets active if you have 500 million to 1 billion people actively using the internet on smartphones, and we're still quite some time away from that.
Do you get into trouble for saying Jio's entry has helped your business?
No, why?
Because your father has one of the incumbents?
Not at all. I think Jio's entries had an impact, not necessarily all positive. I think that's very important to take note of.
So what is not positive?
I think that we've seen some growth in the market, and 4G has come in a big way. But did you know that half the market is still not on 4G?
They're doing free voice.
Half the market is still stuck on 2G and 3G. Yeah. So there's a lot happening, and we feel that we need more than just this event to bring 1 billion people onto the internet. It's so clear from all the data that we're seeing. And like I said, it's in the best interest of everybody as a country, and also for the startup ecosystem, to have as many people online as fast as possible in the easiest way possible. And I'm telling you, it is much more than cheap data plans. The go-to-market, the consumer experience of how people come on the internet has to just become very, very easy. And time will tell
you
where that
spoke
goes.
about Korea, but are you seeing better penetration now in India? At one point we were less than 3%, about a few years ago.
The growth has been phenomenal. You must realize we launched Hike in 2012. In 4 years, we've gone from 0 smartphones to 300 million internet users. So the growth has been phenomenal. It has. But inside those 300 million internet users, they're classified as also people using 10 MB every month. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So that has to evolve. People have to get to 100 MB, half a GB, 1 GB. I think when you get to half a GB, you get to a true internet user.
I also noticed that on your app, you're back with the timeline. You had ditched it for the stories. Was that because Snapchat was doing better, and now, the timeline is back? For what reason?
I personally have missed the timeline.
I'm one of the older people that Snapchat talks about. I'm one of those Facebook users.
The bet was 4G is coming, people will share many more photos and videos, and we had this idea that, because you share more photos and videos, each one becomes a little less important, so disappearing photos would be good. And we launched that, and today people are consuming billions of stories on Hike every month. So stories is doing extremely well. But that does not mean...
Are you doing better than Instagram or
we
Snapchat
don't know
stories?
We don't know the numbers. But, stories on Hike is doing extremely well. So, but that does not mean, just because 4G is here and people want to share more photos and videos, does not mean people don't want to share text. Okay. Does not mean people don't want some of their moments to stay forever. So we brought the timeline back by great consumer demand, and we have stories and timeline both in the applications. Right?
Which is what seems to be the trend across apps right now, right? Whether it's an Instagram or a Facebook as well, or even WhatsApp for that matter. But WhatsApp's only doing stories, but on Facebook you have a timeline and you have the stories.
I mean, Facebook's the guys who invented the timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we do what's best for us. I think that's very, very important. Timeline is a very important part of Hike, so we brought it back.
So one of my final questions to you, you talked about the great potential in this country, so I would imagine you have no plans to do anything overseas. You have enough to do here?
Yeah, you said it. We have more than enough to do here. This is a country of 20 countries. We talked about so many of the complexities today. Yeah. So, and we're excited. We're so fortunate to be building in India right now, and it's such a good time. While we may talk about some of the small issues that we have, all said and done, this country has a couple of 100 million internet users. People would dream of that market. And I think that we're definitely in a good place to be. We're fortunate enough to be building in a home market as big as India. But we always look forward and ask what if. So, yeah.
So how do you, what is your marketing strategy? How do you grow your user base? How do you reach out to them? How is it done? Can't be just word of mouth.
You'll be surprised. We add somewhere between 80,000 and 100,000 people organically every day. New users on Hike. We don't do any marketing. And on top of that, we get 100,000 people returning every day to the application. And our guess is that with all the stuff that we launched today, that number should go up just a little bit.
So should I take that figure of 100 million subscribers in Jan 2016, say what you did and try to extrapolate, though my mental math is a little bad, and figure out what you're going to say end of 2017?
100,000 now.
100,000 now, but that's what you said. Okay. So no advertising, no marketing, you don't feel the need for that either. And are you ever going to bring advertising in on Hike? Is that something that maybe your investors tell you to do?
From a business model standpoint, there are only two business models that exist across the world, across any industry. There is consumers transact with merchants, and there is merchants who sponsor to consumers, which is effectively ads. You look at the West, you look at all the big internet companies in the West, at least the social ones, they all do ads. You look at the East, all the big social companies in the East do transactions. Very different models, but both exist. I think in India it may be a combination of both. Time will tell. We'll start thinking about a lot of this stuff in 2018, 2019.
So you're not bogged down by that right now?
Absolutely not. We have some fantastic investors who understand the need to look at this business from a long-term perspective.
How will you provide the exit to your investors?
This company is 4.5 years old.
Some of them are very impatient.
We're a very young company, and I must tell you, we at 4.5 years old.
Some of them are wanted by 7 years, I'm sure.
We'll talk then, because we just raised $175 million last year. We're just 10 months into this fundraise, and we've been heads down focusing on building the product. We have enough capital for the next couple of years, so that's not on our mind right now. So we're going to optimize the next couple of years, all our time, in just building a much better product.
Kavin Mittal, a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us on ET9. All the very best.
Thank you so much.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNow Live. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/ETNow.